Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Yeah, so welcome to I think this should be our 14th class, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at how to no, we in the last class we actually built a simple application that just displays a list of items, okay, with recycler view. Okay, so today's class we're going to do something that is a bit similar to the assignment you were given. Okay, we're going to display both a text and an image, okay, to our application. Before we're just displaying just the text, but that will also display an image, and we'll do that within a card using what we call a material card view widget. Okay, a material card view widget is actually from the material components for for the Android library. So we're going to actually do that. That's what we're going to be doing today. So basically, what you're going to learn how to add images to the list of displayed declarations in our recycler view. We're going to learn how to use material card view in a recycler view item layout. And then, of course, how to make visual changes in our UI to make the app look more polished. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be. That's basically what we're going to be looking into today. So, so let's just do a rundown of what we've actually done so far. Currently, we actually have a data source, okay, which is a source of our data where the declarations are coming from. We have a class for that, and we have a function that actually returns a list of declarations, okay? And then, of course, for each declaration is actually a class, okay? And in that declaration is from a data class, and our data class just takes just a string, okay? Just a string, and then of course, from the data source also. And then we now talked about our item adapter, where we got to, do the whole manipulations for displaying, images, for displaying the text rather on, in our recycler view. We talked about the class, the view holder, talked about the adapter, we talked about the various methods like the create view holder, combined view holder, and the likes. Okay, so those are what we're able to, accomplished in the last class. So today, basically, we're going to add images to these list items. We do not want to only display a text. I want to now also display a text and images, okay, and images rather. So so far we created an adapter. Okay, just want to make sure my emulator is visible. Okay, that's fine. So far we created an adapter to display the declaration strings in a recycler view. Okay, so but now want to add images. So I actually just have one image that I've actually imported right here. Okay, I've already imported this image, so we're just going to reuse it. Okay, you can add as much as you want, but for the purpose of this class, we'll just call the same image, where you can add as much images as you would actually want. So once we have that down, okay, once our images are ready to use, now we need to add support for the images in our declaration class. Okay, so we're going to add the properties first of all to our data class. Okay, so this is the class, the data class, the class that holds the data. Okay, now here we have just a property for the strings. Now we're going to add for the image also. Okay, we're going to add for the image also. But before that, let me just say this. Now, when we're going to use what we call a resource annotation, and this is the reason for that. Now, let me just add this. Okay, so I'm going to. So let's say I add, and then I'm going to call this image resource ID, and it's going to be of type int. Okay, so let's assume, let's just add that now. Okay, it's going to be of type int. Now, both the string resource ID and the image resource ID, they are integer values. Now, in as much as this is actually fine, okay, it's possible that in calling this class, it's possible that the caller could accidentally pass in the arguments in a wrong order. So instead of passing the string first, you now pass the image first and then the string second. So that is possible. So to avoid that, we can use what we call resource annotations. Okay, so annotations, they're actually useful because they add additional information to classes, methods, or even parameters. Okay, and you declare annotations with an @ symbol. So in this case, what we're actually going to do, I'm just going to, for this place, I'm going to say @string res, that's resource. I'm going to add that annotation to that. Okay, and then for the image is a drawable, so I'm going to say @drawable res, that's a drawable resource. So that's like an annotation. Okay, that's an annotation. So basically, what this will actually do is, if you actually put it in the wrong order, you get a warning if you supply the wrong type of resource ID. So since this first place, we're annotating this first input to be a string resource, when you put something else that's not a string resource, you actually get a warning. Okay, so that's one thing I needed us to just know. Then the next thing is to now initialize the list with the images. So we'll go to our data source class to now initialize. Now you can see right now we have errors. We have like 33 errors. We have errors here. You can see red, Y. And then if I just hover that, you see no value passed for parameter image resource what ID. Okay, so now we're going to now pass in that. So I'm just going to say r.drawable .img, which is the image I have. Okay, so that's actually that. So let me just copy this and I'm just going to paste that. Okay. It's going to be a long one though, so I may just have to stop somewhere. I want to stop in a way where, okay, let's just see. Okay, I think this is fine. Let me just close this out. Okay, so let's just look at something. Assuming we want to add another one. So you can see this annotation as string res. Okay, so assuming I do, okay, so you can see expected resource type or a string. That's what it expected. So this is what that stuff does. So I'm putting it in the wrong order. Okay, I'm putting it in the wrong order, and it's giving us what error. So that is that's what the annotation helps us to actually do. Okay, so just take note of that. Clear that out. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is to now add an image view to our list item layout. Okay, to our list item layout. That is how the view of how a particular item looks. So when you check your contacts, okay, I remember saying this the last time. So let me just show you. Assuming I'm to click on contacts, and I think my emulator is. Let me fix that quickly. So, okay, I think it's still installing. I'll just stop that. Okay, but let's move on. So let's add an image view. Okay, so we want to show an image for each declaration. We want to show an image. So now here we don't have any view group here. Okay, we don't have any view group. That means we don't have any container, any parent per se, and the reason is because we have just one view. Okay, we have just one view. So, but now we want to add another view. So because we want to add another view now, we now need a view group. Okay, we need a view group so we can arrange these views. Okay, we need to place them as children views within a view group. And also we want to arrange them vertically. So because of that, we're going to use a linear layout. So I'm just going to now add a view group here called linear layout. And then of course for the width and the height, so I'm just going to copy this, so I don't have to type, just replace this. Okay, and then of course I'll have to import it. So you just do Alt and Tab or again. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy also. Okay, so that's fine. And then, okay, good. Then I'll take my text view and send it. Sorry, didn't copy everything. So just take my text view and send it into, yeah, okay. So let's make the width of the linear layout to match the parent, and then the height can wrap the content. Okay, that's fine. Now, so before the text view, let's add an image view because we want the image and then the text below it. So image view. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, image view. So let's use a wrap content. Or you know what? Let's the image match the parent. And then let's the height. Let's give it a fixed height of, let's say, 150 dp. Let's just see how that's going to look. Sorry, that should be dp. And I'm just going to close this off. Okay, and of course, we have to give it an ID. So I'm going to say, let me call it item image. Okay, so now we talked about a few things important for accessibility. Say no. Okay, and then we'll talk about this. So for the, okay, before I add this, let's add an image. So let me use the Android :src, and then image. Okay, yeah, that is that. So this is the image we have. Okay, this is the image I actually put up there. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so well, I can decide not to. Well, let me take out this image because I actually just wanted to see how it would look like. Okay, just wanted to see how it would look like. But since we're actually getting this image from a source, you remember the text size, we didn't put any text because we are getting it from a source. So, so sometimes you may not know how an image will actually come. So center crop is usually kind of like best, but of course, sometimes when you don't know the image, that's why sometimes when you're going to get image online, you may have to use some API, some methods to actually scale the image to make sure it actually gets represented very, very well. So let me see something with respect to my own image. So when I say wrap content, this is the actual size of this image. So okay, so let me just use a 200 dp. Okay, so that's that. So we have an error, so I need to fix it. Okay, so now we are using a linear layout. Okay, so you can see one of the warnings is giving us talks about what orientation. Okay, so when you're using a linear layout, you need to tell you need to explicitly declare how you want the child views to be ordered. Because when we say linear, we're talking about a straight line. So do you want it to be ordered in a horizontal format or in a vertical format? So we have to set orientation, but I don't want, we're going to be using a vertical because we want it to be like a list, straight out list. Yeah, so vertical layout. So now let's update our adapter. This was basically how you could have actually just done your task. So first things first, I'm going to go to my item view holder here. Okay, so I'm going to have my val image view of type image view, and then I'm just going to say view dot find view by ID dot ID dot image item image, right? Okay, yeah, true. Okay, so after that, let's go straight to the unbind view holder, and then Just going to say holder dot image view dot. Now we use the method set image resource, and then to get the image, I'll use my item dot image resource ID. Okay, so that's actually that. So we need to test this. Hope my emulator is actually, going to let me now. Okay, so if it doesn't, then I may just have to pick up a new one. While that's okay, let's see if I can just get a new one. Well, that one is actually, so whichever one actually finishes up first. Let's see. Okay, let's pick this. 11. Okay, let's just use that. Okay, so that's pixel 4. Okay, good. So let's see if I can get this other one to pick up, and probably just stop this other one. Okay, so yeah, just wait for that one. Okay, so while we do that, okay, so well, I needed to also talk about padding, and then how to just make it look a bit more beautiful, and then we'll now go into using cards. Talk about card view. Okay, so I really needed this to build up quickly. So well, let's just wait. Let's just wait a bit. Let's wait a bit. I think I need to free up my system a bit. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I think that should. Okay. Sorry, let me fix this quickly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that would actually, that one would work. Okay. Yeah. Almost there. Okay. So yeah, let's see. Okay, launching. Okay. So yeah, so this is what we have. Yeah, that's what we have. So let's see how we can actually, make it look more, make it look a bit better. Let's just see how to do that. But before then, let me just close out this emulator. Okay, so yeah, let's continue. Let's continue. So let's see. I kind of want us to do a bit of polishing. So let's go back to our list item. So for the text, so if we look at this, I could actually make the text a bit more. So let's just do, let's see, add a bit of padding here, maybe 10 dp, and that gives it a bit of space. Okay, so the padding, basically, I just want to add some white space between the items. So you can see if I switch to, yeah, just add a bit of space between the items and the list, between the items in the list. So there's going to, now because of this padding, this space means the next one will have its own, and then there's going to be a bit of space there. And then also I'm going to do that for the text too. Okay. Okay, let's see. I think I added the padding already, yes. So yeah, no wonder. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. Let's add it. Let's add text appearance. So I'm going to use looking for a headline. Need something a bit big. So headline 6. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think let's see what the changes will look like here. See what the changes will look like. Okay, yeah, so it's a bit, so that's that. Okay, so that's that. So now let's learn how to use cards, okay? Because it's actually, so if you look at this application right now, it's still a bit hard, okay, to tell if an image, if an image belongs to a particular text. Like you may not know whether this image is for I will not make it, or probably is this image that is for I will not make it, and the like. So we're going to use a card view, because a card view provides an easy way to contain a group of views and also provide a consistent style, for the container. Okay, so let's add a card view around our linear layout. Let's add a card view around our linear layout. So I'm going to use the material card view. Okay, and then I'm just going to copy this because I need it. And then, of course, I could take this one out now and then close this up. Okay, so then I'm going to just take out the whole of this and wrap it all in here. Okay, so now, so let's do a bit of, stuff with this. So let me add a margin here of, let's say, 8 dp, so it kind of gives a bit of space, the parent. Yeah, you can see there's space now from the parent, and then the card view itself, which is like a container for the linear layout, which is also housed in the image view and the text view. Okay, so with this, I can actually take out this padding. Okay, I can just take out that padding now, so it's not necessary anymore. Okay, so that's that. Now let me make our text have more padding. Let's make it a 16, so it's a bit much bigger. So let's actually now see, just by adding, I haven't actually done any styling yet, just by adding the card view and just the 8dp. So you can see that there's now a bit of like a difference. You can see something like a line here. You understand? You can just see something like a division, a demarcation between them, so you can tell which is which. Assuming I was to make our text, let me just say our text color to be white, and make so this list is contained in our recycler views, which is in our layout here. Assuming I'm to give this background, let's say a black. Okay, so let's just see. Yeah, let's see what that would actually give us. Okay, so you get to see that demarcation very well. You get to see that very well. But of course, just gonna undo this. We're actually not looking out for colors. Okay, hope we're good here. Okay, so and revert this back to. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so okay. Okay. Okay, definitely. Yeah, I got your message. Okay, so that's actually adding a card. Now, let's just do some color change to our theme colors. Let's make it a bit. So I'm going to come back here. Now, knowing that let's maybe open my themes. Okay, so if I look at this now, I can see this color. That's my color primary. I can see this blue. That's my color primary variant, and then the color on is white. My color secondary. Okay, so I think I'm just going to change my color primary. So it's using the purple 500, purple 700, and then okay. Okay, so let me change my purple 500 to okay, let me just click on this. I like this color actually. I don't know why. And then it's not like it's my best color though, but it's just interesting. So let me reduce the opacity of this to like 60%. I'll kind of make it a bit lighter. Okay, I think that's fine. Let me just change those two, and then let's see what we have. Let's see what we have from that. Okay, yeah, so a bit uniform though, better than actually what it was before. Okay, so that's actually that. Okay, that's actually that. So any questions, guys? So one last thing, how to change the app icon? Okay, how can you change your app icon? So let's see. Do I have? Let me see if I have any. Okay, I'll still use the same image as my app icon too. Still use as my app icon. I just have to figure out where it is. I think it should be. Let me see. Let me pick that out. So let me show you how you can actually change your application icon. Okay, so okay, so let's paste that here. Okay, desktop. Okay, so how do you change your app icon? Okay, now this is how we're going to do it. First of all, okay, you need to get the icon, okay, and then you can just go to your drawable. Okay, you can go to your drawable and then go to new, come down to image assets. Okay. Now, this is how we're going to do it. You can see this is the icon type, launcher icon, and the like. So it has a foreground, background layer, and options, of course. So, but let's just go straight into how we can do that. So I'm going to find a path. Okay, so this is the path to where the icon is on my, on my local, on my desktop. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the folder icon. So I have this particular one I want to use. I have it in my on my desktop rather. So let me go down to my desktop and then, yeah, this is the name. Okay, so you can see it. So you can actually make adjustments. So then you can make adjustments to resize it. You can see, so that circle actually, so for some of us on your phones, okay, you see your Facebook icon, your app icons, they are kind of like, it's like you have either you have a circle and then you see the logo in, or the circle just fills the logo rather just fills the circle or the icon. So you can actually just resize. I could resize it this way. So maybe we'll just keep it with this. Now you could change the background layer. You can decide to change what the background layer would be. Of course, that's up to you. Okay. And then what else? So that's actually that. You can play around with this stuff too. Now, so you can see this saying here that, look, an icon with the same name already exists, okay, and will be overwritten. Okay, so once we actually confirm this, what happens that it now updates. So the default app icon we have now, okay, for this application, which is this guy, no, we are now overriding it. The same name, we're not changing the name. Okay, so we're just overriding what it would be. So I'm just going to, override. I'm just going to override that. So next. Okay, so and then I'm just going to click on finish. Okay, so that's that, I think. So let's see. So this is the one that we had before. So now we have, so this is what was generated for us. Okay, you can see the MIP map and the likes. Now we have, this is the previous one. Okay, this is the previous one, but this is now the one that we created. So you can actually delete this one if you want. Okay, you can actually delete this one if you actually want, or you can just keep it and then just update it, because now on your, where you actually add your app logo, you can see here Android.icon, it goes to the MIP map folder to get this launcher. And then what is our launcher? If I click on this, Control B, yeah, so let's see what our launcher icon is now. So Control B, let's see what this XML is. So this is that's already been updated. It has a background, so we can decide to take out this background. Okay, you can decide to actually take this out, so it doesn't have a background. Okay, so I think we're good to go. So let's see. So we have a foreground also. So let's run this and see if there's going to be any change. Okay, yeah, so we have duplicate resources. Yes, it's true. We're supposed to delete that stuff. So this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to delete from here down to this place. These are the old ones, the .webp extension. So I'll just delete that. Okay, so a file that this has one usage, I could actually just view the usage, then just do a refactor. We're going to do the same thing. So for the foreground, I think we're fine with the foreground. So yeah, for the launcher, the round one, you can see the WebP. That's actually the one that was there, but the PNG is the one that we created. So I can just delete that also. Click on OK. Probably just view usages and then just do a refactor. So I think we've taken that out now. So we shouldn't have the issue of duplicate resources. Shouldn't have that now. So let's see. Okay, so we still have, okay. I think I need to. So let's change this. So what's around here? Okay, so this is around, then, okay, so this, let's take, sorry, we're going to delete this V24. I'm going to take out that V24. That's for a lower version kind of stuff. Let's just take that out. Let's just take that out. There are a lot of ways to actually go about this though. And then let's come back to the manifest. Yeah, so it's just going to pick up. So it will just pick up any of this with respect to the dimension. So this one, let me confirm, hope it's still not on V26. Yes, it is. That's for lower versions actually. So since mine is a higher version, then definitely it won't pick that out. So let's just take that out also. And just delete it anyway. So let's see what we have. Okay, yeah, I have to reinstall and then restart. So let's install and then restart. Okay, so let's see. Okay, yeah, so we now have our app icon. Yes, we now have our app icon. So that's actually pretty much how to change your app icon. So that's actually that for adding, how to add images to your already created lists, recycler view. Yeah, so that's how to do that. Now I'm going to give you a challenge. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going to well, it's going to form parts. Yes, so this is going to be a task also. Yes, it's going to be a task. Very good. So of course, this week also, you're going to get a promotional task to stage 6. Yeah, we are getting there. So you're going to have 2 tasks that will make up that I'm going to use to grade you. So an average of your score for both of them will actually get you to the next stage. So the task for this particular lesson we have learned is that we're going. I need you. Of course, I'll put it out also, but just to let anyone who actually watches the video. So you're going to change the layout manager property, because yeah, we're going to change the linear layout manager property to grid layout manager. Remember, we talked about that. So let me just close all this. Okay, so so let me open the activity main. Yeah. So here we're using a linear layout manager. Okay, so I want you to change this to a grid layout manager and give it a column count of 3. And then you have to change the adapter layout to visualize that data in a grid. Okay, that's going to be a challenge task for you. Okay, if you have any questions, you can actually just ask. Okay, yeah, before I move forward. Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question before I move forward? Okay, yes, Zed, go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Concerning the images, you earlier mentioned something, constraining the images. So let's say I'm trying to put an image in a recycler view, and there are so many images, like 10. Most of them are in different sizes unknown to me, and I still want to use them. How do I make it happen? So I actually want to make every one of them be the same size.
Okay, so making all of them be the same size. Now, the thing is, images actually come in, except you have actually, worked on the images, okay? But images comes with different sizes, resolutions, and dimensions. You can have the one that comes with, like, for example, the app icon that we did. This is a 512 by 512. When we're actually working on it, okay, the very first, well, let me show you. So for this, like, for example, for this particular one, you can see this is 162 by 162. So this is very small, okay. You can check. So this is 72 by 72. That's HDDPI. Now for the XSS HDPI, you can see we have 192 by 1. So there are images that can span as 1092 by 1000 and something also. Now, one of the ways you can actually do that is to now probably give them a fixed size. What do I mean? I could actually say that I want this image, regardless of whatever you are. I want your width to be 200. I could say I want it was 200 by 200, that your width and your height should be the same thing. Okay, I could decide to actually, actually do that. So let me just have to see. No. So assuming I wanted to actually even do something like this. So actually center horizontal, actually. So you can actually give it a fixed size that, look, this is the amount of space I want you to occupy. Now, let's do a practical stuff. Now, this particular image I brought, this is a 648 by 612. Okay, now I'm going to run this with the fixed image size that I gave it. Now, this is what it looks like already. So giving it a fixed image size, you see it becomes smaller regardless of the dimension of that picture. But I've told it that, look, this is the space I want you to cover. So it finds a way to just stay in that space. Now, for some certain pictures, it may actually affect how it displays that picture. Okay, but sometimes giving it a fixed size actually what helps. That's why there are certain APIs that you use. You can actually, before, let's say, when we get to the point where we actually fetch images online, you can actually run some certain calls on images, and before they come into your application, they go through certain transformations, especially when you're getting images from the likes of Cloudinary, you can actually make such play around. If you're using APIs like Picasso, okay, we'll get to actually use some of those things. So it depends, okay? And that's why you see when you check out most image views that people use, they actually get to use a center crop. Okay, they get to use a word center, word crop to center it and then also crop it to a particular dimension. Okay, so that's how. Now, if you're using different images, well, I'm not sure you're asking how to represent them because it's still the same way we did it in our what they call it in our resource. So you're just going to just populate each of them. Where do we have our data resource? Yes, okay, data source rather. You just populate each of them with respect to, the corresponding text. So that's actually a way to do that, especially when you do not know, because now a typical example is if you're building an application, let's say any application at all, where you have to allow users to upload pictures. Now, there are certain platforms that they get to tell you that, look, your image should not be more than this size, and your image should have at least this dimension. There are sites that are specific with dimension. Why? Because they know that to some extent, you can't tell me what I should upload. I might have a very good picture, and the picture is very large, and it's the finest, and that's what I want to use. And probably that picture, the dimension is very, very, the width is 1,000 and something by 1,000 and something. Now, imagine using such large pictures for your maybe profile picture that is just very small, has a very small, this small profile stuff where you just see picture and probably it's clickable. So there are a lot of transformations that you can actually do, on your images. But with respect to just your XML here, having to give it a fixed size, a fixed width, and a fixed height, okay, is one way to actually handle that. Now, I want to see. Let me check if I have an image of my local that kind of, has a very okay. Yeah, I think I've seen one. Yeah, I think I've seen one. So let me just import that now, and then so let's see how to handle that. So I'm going to name this img_2. So let me replace this now with img_2. So you can see this now. So what's the difference? Now let me show you something. Let me add a padding of, let's say, 10. I want to create some space between the image and so this is the image here. Okay, so let me make it 20. I want you to see something. So this is the image, and then this is the image view. Okay, but let me do this one instead. Let me create the padding on the linear layout that is housing them. Okay, good. So this is the image for, assuming I even take out the center crop. This is actually this image, 200 by 200. Okay, let's say I now say, okay, you know what? I want you to wrap the content. So wrap the content, just wrap it the way it comes. The way it is, as it is, just wrap it that way, both width and both height. Wrap it that way. You see, this is the image. Now, if I show you, this is the actual image. You see the width, 4,074 by what? 5,092. So the width, the height is actually just crazy. It's long. The width also is actually wide. So when we said wrap, when we say wrap content, we're saying come as you are. Okay, just wrap, because the image view is a container that houses your image. So we're telling the image view, just wrap this guy the way it is. When you're wrapping something, you're basically taking the shape of that item. So that's what is actually happening here. So of course, this will not work. You understand? So imagine having this image coming from a data source, a back end or something. Somebody's uploading such image. So it's either you fix it before it comes into the application, or you actually fix it here on the application. You write a code to fix it on your XML, or probably some actual code to do some transformation before it comes here, of which I can now decide that, look, you know what, if I'm okay with the width, okay, if I'm okay with the width, I can say, okay, no, you know what, for as far as height is concerned, you're too high. But before that, let me leave the wrap content and just do a scale type. You can see what center does. So some of these things you just see, these centers, it just goes to the center of that image. You can see what, I think we did a bit of this before. You can see center inside. Well, that doesn't really do much. You can see fit center, okay. And then the one we mostly use, which is the what center what crop. So with this, I can just take my height. Okay, you know what? I like your width, but I want your height to be what? Just this. But see the problem with center crop now. Okay, with this particular image. But let's say with something like this, I decide to call this other first image. There's no issue. It's very, very fine. It's okay. So it varies with images. Okay, so that's why sometimes you actually have to be, especially if you're building a product, okay, you need to be sure of the images you're using, especially the ones that has to be static. But for the ones you can't control, it's very good to have, especially if you're going to be getting it into the application from an API, you need to set the dimensions, okay, that it either gets transformed before it comes into the application, or once it comes in, it has to be, you have to conform it to what you want, okay? So that's actually that. So let me, assuming I wanted to switch this back, so you can see this is now a bit better. So let's run this and see how that goes. I hope I actually answered your question. I know I talked about a lot of things, but I just wanted to do that. So
yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Yes. So okay, so this is image. Okay, it doesn't show because I have not changed it to. Let me change just two of them, and then let's see. So any other question? There's any other question? Let's shoot. Okay, so yeah, you can actually see that it's better. But just let me just show you a few things about card view. I know we can add what we call a corner radius, okay? Just to kind of make it, so let me make this guy, let me give this guy a background color so you get to see the beauty of the corner radius. Let's see, background. Now, I would have chosen black, but black is just too serious. So let's, okay, let's just use something like this. So I want you to see what card view actually is. It just gives you this, yeah, you see this corner here. Yeah, this corner. Yes, that's the whole concept of corner radius, okay? Yes, so that's just that. There are a lot of things you can actually just play around. You can give it what we call an elevation of, let's say, 10 dp. Then, so an elevation, it just gives you this, it's like, you know, imagine light shining on an object and you just take the object up a bit. So there's a bit of a shadow that is, cast, below it or, by the side. Okay, that's basically what elevation is all about. It's here, but it's now I'll have to switch back to, let me take this background color out of here. So that's elevation. So I think that's yeah, I can see. So with the elevation, you get to see your card more. You get to see your card more. If I was to make this elevation, let's say 20. Yeah, you can actually even see it from here. Imagine I make it 60 dp. So I'm just playing around though. But I think I'm done. I'm done with this actually. So I'm quickly going to just, yeah. So it's like it's just coming up. That's whole elevation thing. Like something is just popping out rather. Okay, so well, in the absence of no questions, we're going to move straight to something else. And the reason I want us to actually move quickly to it, okay, so in our next class, we can actually just finish up, probably just get straight into building an application. In our next class, we should be talking about activities and intents. In the next class, we should be talking about activities and intents. Okay, we're getting a bit deeper, and hopefully if we're to finish on time, we'll get to talk about activity lifecycle. So I may just talk about activity lifecycle before that, but let's just see how we're able to hopefully we can, so next, yeah, we should be able to just talk about navigation. That's just a summary of that. But this week, next week, we're really going to be talking much about what navigation, the navigation components, architecture components, and the likes. Okay, so, but before we actually talk about navigation, okay, before we talk about navigation, let's talk about collections, okay? Because we're going to use, remember what we learn, how we do it. We learn some concepts, the language, Kotlin, we get to use Kotlin Playground, then we apply what we have learned in building an actual application, okay? So quickly, we're going to be talking about collections, okay? We're going to be talking about collections. So that being said, I'm just going to bring my, playground right here. So let's do this quickly. So, so what's a collection? Okay, let me just do this here. So we're talking about what collections. Good. So a collection is just a group of related items. That's a collection. A group of related what items. It could be a list of words, it could be a list of students, it could be employee records, anything, but it's a group of, please take note of the word related items. Okay, now a collection can have the items in a collection, they can be ordered or unordered, and they can be unique or also not unique. Okay, we have already learned about a type of collection, which is list. List is a type of collection. Okay, now, but lists have an order to these items. Okay, but the items don't have to be unique. Okay, now let's, of course, we talked about, so let's just create a list. Let me just say val, sorry, val num to represent numbers. And then I'm going to say list of. Remember when we say list of, this one means it's immutable, except to do mutable list of, means we can't change it. So now a list can be unordered. It doesn't really have, sorry, it doesn't have to be unique per se. It doesn't have to be unique. Okay, so this is a list. It doesn't have to be unique, but there is an order. There is an order to it. So I could just say print num. And then let's run this and be sure we've actually created a list. Yes, so this is it. Okay, now this list contains 4 items. Okay, it contains what? 4 items, and those 4 items are numbers, and the numbers range from 0 to 3. No, sorry, 0 to 4. That's what the numbers range from. You check the list of numbers that are there. It ranges from 0 to what? 4. Now, let me also do something. So you can see this, that we still have a list, but you notice that some of them, there's a number that appears more than once. Okay, it appears what? More than once, while some don't even appear more than once, and some numbers don't even appear at all. We are not seeing 5, 6, 7, 8, and the likes. Now, the order of an item, of items in the list matters. That's why, of course, we know from here, the first item is 3, the second item is 4, and so on. So these these items, they'll stay in this order except you change them. Okay, they'll stay in this order except you change them. And remember, when we talked about lists, we talked about the fact that they have some built-in functions, like sorted. I could actually just decide to do print num dot sorted. Since this is a list, that means this should be a valid operation. So it will sort it from the lowest down to the highest. We talked about some of these methods. But with the numbers sorted, okay, of course, it's easier to actually just see how many times a number actually appears. Okay, now you can see, okay, number 1 actually appears more than once. It's easy to see. But we're going to talk about another type of collection. Okay, so the first one we talked about was lists. Now the next one we're going to talk about is sets. Okay, so set is another type of collection. Okay, now set is also a group of related items, but unlike a list, you can't have duplicates in a set. Okay, you can't have duplicates. And then the order does not matter. Okay, the order doesn't what matter. So in a set, you can have is a group of related items where you can have there can't be any duplicates. You can't have duplicates. You can't have one appearing two times. You can't have two appearing. You can't have the same element appearing twice. Okay, and then the order does not what matter. So any item can be in the set or not. But if it's in the set, there's just going to be one copy of it. Okay, there's going to be one copy of it. So this is just like for example, if you have a set of books that you've actually read. Now, reading the book 5 times, 6 times doesn't change the fact that is in the set of books that you've read. Okay, it doesn't change that fact. Okay, so now we can actually convert our list to a set. So what am I going to do? I can just do that quickly. I can just say val set of numbers. This is just a variable set of numbers. So you can convert a list to a set. And how do I do that? I'm just going to say, I'll call my list, which is num dot, then there's a method called toSet. So now, toSet. Then I'm just going to print set of numbers. So, okay, but I'll leave this. Let me just leave this. Let me leave this. I want you to see something. So here, sorry, then paste that here. Okay, so the first print statement is going to be num. Second one is going to be set. Okay, set now is the list that we have converted to a set. So let me run this so you can now see the difference. So let me not sort this. Let's just run it that way. So you can now see the difference between a list and a set. So we still have 3, we still have 4, we have 0. But in this case, 1 doesn't appear 2 times. 1 doesn't appear twice. It just appears 1. There can be only 1 copy of that particular item in that list. There can be only 1 copy. Okay, so let's move on. Let me define something. You can actually, a set, just like a list, you have set of, okay, which represents the immutable set, and you have mutable set of, which means the immutable set means you can actually make adjustments. So let's do something. I'm going to create a variable. Let me call that. So I'm just gonna. So let me add a bit of space and then close this out. So I'm going to say set1. Let me create a set, and I want this to be set of. Set of what? 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to create another set 2. And this is going to be mutable set of 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now let's do something. I want to find out if these 2 sets are the same. I want to find this 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Are they the same? So how do we do that? I'm just going to say print line, and so let's do this. So I'm going to say set1, okay, equals set2. Okay, then so that's just, but basically what I'm just picking out is this. So now the actual calculation of that, the actual logic is just going to now be set1 equals, we want to now check if set1 is equal to set2. Okay, yeah. So let's run this. So let me just comment out this print statement. So we just have only one print statement. I know where it's coming from. Hope you don't have it. So you can see that this is true. So funny, 1, 2, 3, a set that has 1, 2, 3, okay, is said to be true. Is said to be equal to a set 2, which has 3, 2, what, 1. So now, even though one of them is mutable and the other one is not, okay, and they have different items in a different order, but they are considered equal because they contain exactly the same set of items. So in your set, probably you have set of animals, you have dog, maybe for your preference, you have dog, cat, and a rabbit. And then in my own set, I have cat, rabbit, dog. We have the same set because we have the same items inside, okay? Now, let's look at some operations that we can perform on a set. And one of them is to check if a particular item is in the set or not. And we use a method called contains. So I'm just going to do it in a print statement. So I can say, okay. Okay, so let's find out if this contains a 7. We want to find out if our list contains a 7. How can we do that? I'm just going to do this inside. So I'll just say set of, now I'm going to use, let's say set 2, or let's use the set of numbers, the one we have there, set of numbers. Dot, you call the word contains. So there's a method, the method called what contains, dot contains. Now, this method takes in a parameter, okay, which is what it's going to check for if it contains. So we want to check if it contains a 7, okay, if this set of numbers contains a what, 7. Okay, so let's run that. So we should see a false because it does not contain a 7. So you see, contains 7, false. This operation turns out to be false because set of numbers does not contain a what, 7. Okay, so that's actually a collection. That's another collection. Okay, now the last type of collection that we'll actually just learn about is a map, or just say a dictionary. Okay, map, or you can just, let me use uppercase, consistency, map or dictionary. Okay, so a map is a set of key value pairs. Okay, that's just what the map is. A set of what? Key value pairs. Let me just write that down. Key value pairs. That's what a map is, or dictionary. It's just a set of what keyword value pairs. Okay, so it is designed to make it easy to look up a value, okay, given a particular what key. Okay, so keys are actually what unique, and of course each key maps to exactly what one value, but it's possible that the values can have duplicates. Okay, and then values in your maps are, can be strings, can be numbers, can also be what, objects. It can also be another collection. It can actually be a list. A value can actually be a list, or also it can actually be what, a what, set. So let's look at what do I mean by that. Now, if you have, okay, let me pick. Should I? Okay. Let me do something. Okay, let me just do this here. So if you have, let's say, flowers, okay, flowers here can actually, because a map is actually very useful when you have pairs of data, okay, and you can actually identify each pair based on the key, okay. So basically your key maps to a corresponding value. So let's say you're looking for what, flowers. Now, if you want to probably search for flowers, or maybe on Google or whatever, the word flowers becomes the key, and then it gets to now look for values that are attributed to the word flowers. Of course, so when you search for flowers, you can have it can be pointed to flowers like or rose, whatever. Okay, if you had a key of animals, you can be pointed towards bird, dog, and the likes. Okay, so let's actually do that in code. Let me clear all this. Okay, let me clear all this. Now I'm going to play around with val ages. Okay, val ages. Let me just indent this. Okay, so I want to create. How do we actually create a mutable map? Okay, mutable map. That's, of course, when we use word mutable, means that we can actually modify it. So I want to create a mutable map that stores people's names and their ages. So how do I do that? I'm just going to say mutable map of what? Now, the first one, you actually have to state the data type. Now, the first one I want should be a string, and the second one should be what? An integer. And then you open up your, sorry. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, let's move on. So open up our parentheses. I'm just going to click enter. Then, so let me pick a name. So I'm going to play around a bit. Who is here? Z. Okay. Now Z maps. Remember, the key maps to the corresponding value. So when we say mutable map of, the first thing here is the key, because remember, says what we say map is a set of what? Key value. Key value. So our key, the data type of our key is a string. The value should now be an int. So our key here is Z, and Z, which is the key, maps to, let's say Z's age is 35. Z, hope you're not. And if you are, why not? It's not a good thing. And then let's say, who again? Let's say Optimus. Is it a must? Optimus. The Optimus. Okay. Was it supposed to be optimist? Okay, let's just see. So the Optimus, okay, let me pronounce it the way it is, maps to, let's say Optimus is 5 years old. Let's say it's 5 years old. So I want to now print, let's now print something. Let me print ages. So below here, the print line, and then let's say ages. So let's see what we have. So you can see it gives us our map. Z is 35 years old. The Optimus is what? 5 years old. Okay, so this creates a map, no, but not just a map, a mutable map of a string key and int value. Okay, and then we just initialized, you can see it's inside of this parenthesis. So we initialized the map with 2 entries and then printed it out. Okay, now we can actually add more entries to the map. That's why we actually said mutable map of. Okay, we can actually add more entries to the map. So I could actually, before printing out the ages, I could just say ages dot put. And what do I want to put? Okay, so time for Afolabi, which is the key, right? And then the value, let's say he just clocked 18, so he's just an adult right now. And then I could ages dot put, of course I need to indent this. Let's just indent this for, okay. And then so we have Abdulatif on the call. So Abdulatif, how about you be the grandfather of everybody? So let's say he's 89 years old. He's about to bless them much later. Okay, so let's print this. Let's run this now to print the ages. So you can now see Z is 35. The Optimus, Afolabi and Abdulatif with their respective ages. So this is equal to, so Afolabi maps to 18. He is 18 years old. Okay, so that's actually that. Okay, so remember, keys are unique. The key names are what unique, but the value of the ages can actually have what duplicates. Okay, it can actually what have duplicates. But another way you can actually, instead of doing the dots, put, okay, another way to, modify, okay, you can actually use the shorthand and just by doing ages and then your square brackets. So inside of the square brackets, you actually put the key and then you now assign it a value. 89, right? Yes. So that should still give us the required results. Yes, that gives us the required results also. So your key names should be unique, okay, but the values can actually have duplicates. So let me show you. Assuming you want to add with the same key. Assuming I say ages and then I call Z again. Okay, and I want to give Z a new value of, let's say, no, he's no longer 35. I think for some reason, he supernaturally added 5 extra years in one night. So he's now 40. So let's try to run this. Okay, so this basically is going to update it because it sees it as the same, doesn't see it as a new record. Okay, it doesn't see it as a new record. So the value just maps it. So it's more like an updating. It just maps it. It doesn't see it as a new record because names have to be unique. Okay, names have to be unique. So maps are very, 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 very important, very useful. So I would love someone to, okay, I want to ask a question. What if I make this Z small letter Z? Would it be a new record or would it be a new key or an old key? What do you guys think? You can reply on the chat or you can unmute. Assuming I want to add a new record and instead of saying capital letter Z for Z, I decide to use a small letter Z. What do you think? Will it update or will it create a new record? You can reply on the chat or you can unmute. Okay, Optimus says new record. Who else? Okay, Afolabi says to update. Who else? 1 gig going, 1 gig going, 1 gig going, 1 gigabyte going. So just 2 persons. So let's see, between Optimus and Afolabi, who gets 1 gig from me? Let's see. So I'm just going to replace this with a small letter Z. And moment of truth. So it adds a new record because this and this are not the same. They're different. Okay, they're different. So Optimus, send me your number later. Send it to my DM. Okay, so it's a new record. Let's. I know some of you are coming like, it's not just Z. No. Case sensitive. So that's why in your passwords, okay, even in usernames, especially when you even do when you use small letter I something, and then you start with a capital letter, especially passwords, case sensitive. It's case sensitive. So that's actually, that's that for maps. Now, but let's go back to let's look at how can we work with collections. Okay. Now, because we have talked about these, we talked about lists, we talked about sets, we talked about maps, or we call them dictionaries. Now, but how do we work with them? Because although they actually have different qualities, different types of collections they actually have a lot of behavior in common. Now, if they are mutable, they can add or remove items if they are mutable. So that's one common thing. You can actually list all the items. You can find a particular item. And sometimes they actually convert one type of collection to another, just like we converted a list to a set. Okay. So let's just look at some useful functions, helpful functions for working with collections. And the first one we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the for each method. Okay. We'll learn the for each method. Now, suppose you wanted to print, the items in these ages. Okay, suppose you wanted to print the items in it and include the person's name and age. That is, you want to say something like Z is 35. You want to say something like this, and so on. Okay. So we learned about for loops. Okay, how you could actually write a loop with a for, and then you can for here we would have just say for me, we can just say something like for people, or for age in ages. Okay, for age in ages, for X in ages. Of course, remember that variable can actually, the first variable there can be anything, but it's also good to use a name that actually, when you're actually saying your code, it kind of helps someone understand. Okay, so I can use a very useful method. I can say ages dot for each. I'll explain. Print okay. Now I'm going to use something. I'm going to do something. Let's see. Don't worry, I'm going to explain. Okay, so let's put this in curly braces. So, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. So, well, I could just put this down here so you don't actually get, a bit confused. So, actually, listing all the objects in a collection is actually a very common thing you actually do. Okay, so that's why you have this for each. So what this does is that it goes through all the items for you and performs an operation on each one. Okay, on each one. So yeah, so it's actually similar to the for loop, okay, but a little more compact. So instead of you specifying a variable for the current item, we just say, when we say for people in this, for that, in that, you can actually just use the for each. Okay, now the for each, now in replacing that variable, it uses a special identifier called what? It. So this identifies each of those elements for you, each of them. Okay, so that is a special what identifier. Now yeah, so that's actually that. So if you notice, we just passed when we just said ages for each, we didn't open a parenthesis to pass in any params or arguments. No, we just went straight into having our curly braces and putting what we needed to put. So I'm just going to run this and then let's see. I think this should work on this playground. If it doesn't, then I maybe just take it to Android Studio and see if I can bring out something. So now, by the way, you can actually write some of these codes on your Android Studio and just open up. Should I show you? Well, let me just show you something. You can actually just go to tools, go to Kotlin, REPL, and then I think this one is closed up. Could just open another one. I think I'll unless use a content model. I can just use that. And then you can actually just write your code and test it down here. So just showing you some that's okay. So let's go back to where were we? Okay, so expecting a top level declaration. Oh, okay. I was supposed to comment this out. Okay, so let's run this again. I'm supposed to comment this out. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so you can see Z is 35. Okay, so this is a bit spaced up. So I can just, okay, yeah. So that's actually, I can actually just do a print line. Okay, so Z is 35, Optimus is 5, and B is 18. So the it here, which becomes the identifier, okay, that's what that's what you use to iterate and get, the particular item and the, that you actually use. So based on that item, it gets the key and it gets the value, gets to the next item, gets the key, gets the value, goes to the next item, and does all of that. Now, so if you notice, let me run that again. So let me do something. I just want to show you something. I want to take out this print line and then I want to add a comma here with a space. Assuming I don't want them to be in different lines. Assuming I want them to just be in a straight line. So you see we have this. But in the end, we have this comma here. And of course, if it's the end of the statement or whatever, of a sentence, we shouldn't have a comma. Okay, we shouldn't actually have a comma. So well, we'll fix that. We'll fix that actually. So, but before that, note this: converting a collection into a string. It's something that you may actually do often. Okay, you may actually do that, and if you notice, that's the extra separator that we have here. Okay, is actually a common problem. Okay, so let's see how we can actually deal with. Let's see how we can actually deal with that. Okay, but yeah, so that will bring us to the map function. Okay, the map function. So the map function, okay, so the map function, okay, now don't confuse this with map as a collection or dictionary. Don't confuse, this is the map function. Okay, don't confuse it with a collection. Now, this map function, it just applies a transformation to each item in a collection. It applies a transformation to each item in a collection. That means if you want an item to be represented in a particular way, okay, the map function applies that thing to each item in a collection. So I'm going to do something. I'll just say, let me just copy this. And then I'm going to say, so instead of doing this, so permits me to just put this whole of this in a line because I just want to use print. I just want to use one line to run. Okay, good. Now I want to say I want to do this. Say print line. Okay, then close this out. So I want to do something. So I'll say ages.map. Okay, so I want to use the map function. Okay, and then this is it. I want to get the key. So I want to get something like Z is 35. So I'll take out this comma. Z is 35. So I'm done with that. So I don't need this print now since I want to print out something. So Z is 35. Okay. And then at the end of this curly brace, I'll now add, that's where I now add a transformation. What do I want to do with that, with this, this output? What other transformation do I want to apply to each of these items? I'll call a method called join to string. And what do I want to join to the string? Okay, I want to add a comma and a space. Okay, so let's do that. I want to add a comma and a space. So let's print that. So we should see to the first one. and the second one. So, okay, so I want us to be able to differentiate this. So let me just, okay, so, okay. Okay, so you can see Z is 35, comma, this, and then the last one, you know. So that's actually, so what does it do? It actually joins this to the word string. So it gets the value, joins it to the space, gets the value, joins, gets the, what gets to the last one. Okay, so let me take it one by one. Now, the ages.map, it applies to a transformation. Now, what's the transformation? Is this join to string method? That means join this to this. So it converts it to a string and it joins it. Now, it applies a transformation to each item in the ages, in this map. It applies this transformation to each of them. And then it creates a new collection of the transformed items. So what you're seeing here is now a new collection. Okay, it's now a new word collection. Now the parts in this curly brace, okay, it defines the transformation to apply to each item. Now, first of all, you can see this transformation takes the it.key and the likes, okay? It's based because we want to represent it as a string. So it transforms it to a string. It takes the key, okay? It takes the key, and then it takes the value, and then it transforms it into a string. So you now have like a typical example of the output of this now. It's just basically saying something like, let's say Z, comma 31, something like this. That's that transformation. Okay, now, so it turns this, this is what each item would be. This is what actually a map is, the key and then the value. It now turns it to Z is 31. That's what it turns, this transformation actually what does. It turns this, which is actually how it is represented in the map, it turns it to a word string of Z is what 31. Now then the join to string method adds each item in the transformed collection to a string separated by a comma. And it knows not to add it to the last item. It just knows by its by creation, when it was actually being created, when the method was actually created. Okay, it knows that, look, when you get to the last item, do not add, do not add that comma or whatever. You don't add it to the last item. So all of them, they are what changed together with the dot operator, which is this. You can see the dot join to string, okay, dot key and the likes. Okay, so that's actually for the map function. That's how we're able to take out that. Now, but there is another common operation with collection, and that operation is to find items that match a particular condition. Okay, we use it a lot in your applications or websites or wherever, and that is the filter function. So the filter function, it returns the items in a collection that match based on an expression. Okay, so let me add something here. Val filtered names. So let's say I want to filter names. Okay, I'll just say ages dot filter. So let me just put out this and then I'll explain. Okay, so I'm going to say it dot key dot length less than 3. And then let me print filtered. I'll just copy this. So I'll run this and then let's see. So you can actually see, so this gives us an empty string. It gives us an empty string. So let me increase this to 4. Now let's see what it gives us. It gives us Z, and it gives us, it gives us the 2 Z's. Now, what are we actually doing here? So first things first, I want you to note is that the filter method, just like the map, doesn't actually, you don't need parentheses. That is what you call bracket. You don't need parentheses, okay, because you're not passing in any parameter. And then it's actually, it has the it keyword, the it special character there, it also, which refers to the current item in that list. So when you're actually going through the list, the current item is the word it there. You press the current item. Now, so what happens here? So basically in this expression, okay, it first of all gets, what it's basically doing, it gets the length of the key. So what's the length? That's the number, basically just the number of characters here. So Z is 3, the length is 3. The Optimus is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Correct? 4, 4, 8. Yeah, so 11. Okay. Afolabi is what? 4, 3, 7. Abdulaziz, of course, more. Z, the small Z is also 3. So it gets the length of the keys of each of them. And now we're actually now saying don't just get the length of the key. Get me the key that the length is less than 4. That means it has less than 4 characters. So return every one. So it gets it.key.length less than 4. So it gives us how many keys here is less than 4. Of course, it's just this 2 because it's 3. 3 is less than 4. Optimus is more than 4. Afolabi is more than 4. Abdulatif is more than 4. So it gives us just Z. Remember when it was 3, gave us an empty because there's no key that has less than 3 characters, so it's none. If I'm to say, let's say greater than 4, I think that will exempt Z and take in every other person. So you have Optimus, Afolabi. So that's what filtering. Okay, that is what filtering. So it checks, it gets the length of the key, which is a string, and checks if it is less than. Okay, so here it checks if it is greater than 4. And any items that match, okay, that means it has more than 4 characters, then it is added to a new collection. Okay, now just know that the type that is being returned when you apply filter to a map is a new map, and that map is called a new map, which is a linked hash map. Okay, now we'll get to, as we move on, get to talk more about all these things. So, but you could do additional processing on the map actually, or convert it to another type of collection like a list. So these are stuff you can actually just play around. So yeah, definitely we won't be able to finish this up, or at least we've made a good move. We've started well, and then we'll really use what we learned to actually work on an application. But let's see, we're supposed to go into lambdas. I don't know if we have the time for it. Okay, so let's just see. I think in 10 minutes, just round up. Or basically, maybe, let's just touch that quickly. But do we have any questions? I'm trying to see how much to cover, and I wouldn't want to rush the lambdas, higher order functions. I wouldn't want to rush that. Any questions? I think we may just call it a night here, and then in the next class, we'll continue by talking about lambdas, okay, and then how to make a list, a word list, have a list of words, and then perform some, filtering process to that, and then, build an application in that regard. Okay. So any question can actually ask on the chat. Okay, that's fine. So in the absence of none, okay, so thank you very, very much. Okay, thank you very much for joining. So if you haven't done your task yet, please do well to do that quickly before the submission link is actually closed. Okay, so thank you guys very much